and we are making a Pixar movie tier list. Let's begin with the movie Up. Up's really good. That's a movie I've watched plenty of times, and I would give it an S tier because it has a nice message, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Oh yeah, Toy Story. So, Toy Story is probably high A tier, but it also gets points for being the first movie that Pixar ever made, and it's very high quality. So, yeah.
So Monsters University, I think it's a good movie, but I don't think it's better than Monsters Incorporation. But the thing I really liked is Pixar wasn't afraid to show that it's fine to lose. Like most of the time, you think all the characters would win, but in Monsters University they kind of lost. So I'd give this a high B in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a pretty good spot. And now Finding Dory, I would argue it's basically the same spot as Monsters University. It's another sequel to a movie that was really good, and it didn't match up. So I'd also say it's B.
All right, Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is really good. Just watching it the first time, I knew I loved this movie. It just has a great plot.
It also has a lot of great characters.
Yeah. And it was really funny. I really like that about it.
And I feel like this is the first time where Pixar really stepped up their animation style. It looks so much more realistic than the first three. And now we come to Cars 2, which has a pretty bad reputation as being the worst Pixar movie, the worst Cars movie. I watched it a couple times and I didn't think it was like as bad as people say, but I still think it's near the bottom. So I do think it still has to probably go in C tier. But, you're not going to hate it as much as everyone's going to say you're going to hate it.
That's an interesting opinion. I would probably give it a low B, but that's fine. Incredibles. Incredibles, I think it would be definitely S tier. Like most people have watched Incredibles, and it's one of the most famous Pixar movies ever created. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. And now, next one up is Ratatouille, which I think is a really weird movie. It's about a rat who loses his family, goes to Paris, and wants to become a chef by controlling an orphan's body using his hair.
That's actually a perfect representation.
And for some reason, it just works. It's S tier easily.
Yeah. The Good Dinosaur. The first time I watched this movie, I hated it, and I still hate it today. It's not even a good movie.
The only good thing that happens out of it is when his dad dies. That's absolutely hilarious.
What? Okay, I do not represent any of this stuff.
Funniest moment in Pixar history, and then also the animation is pretty awesome.
Yeah, the animation's really good on it. Next up is Cars.
Okay, next up is the first Cars, which I think was probably easily the best of the three Cars, in my opinion. Maybe not in Aneesh's, but I just like the opening scene the most, where they're just racing, and it's loud and exciting and really awesome. But for most of the movie, Lightning McQueen is kind of a jerk, so he's really unlikable, and it kind of brings the movie down a bit. But at the end, he turns good, and he stops being a jerk, and it gets better. So, I think just the way the movie is structured, like, the main character is bad, kinda, and then he turns good. It's a good, movie structure-wise, but it doesn't make you like the main character, so it can't go super high, probably B tier.
Cars 3. I haven't watched this one, so I'm going to hand it over to Nolan.
Okay. Yeah, Cars 3, I would definitely say not as good as the first one. I think it's probably also C tier. That's kind of it. It was supposed to be like a really good last ending to the Cars trilogy, but it just wasn't that great. Like in the final race, he ends up tapping out and letting his friend / trainer enter the race, and it's like, I don't know, you could do that in a race. Like, you can't use two cars, so that's kind of dumb. Yeah.
A Bug's Life. I have what's it called? I have a deep love for it. I've watched it over 20 times at least, and I still love it to this day. I have a DVD of it, so I've watched it a lot. So I think it would. I don't think, considering we're comparing it with a lot of all of Pixar's movies, I would give it B tier at the most. High B, yeah.
Yeah. And then Incredibles 2, probably out of all the sequels, it's the best sequel to like a banger movie except for Toy Story. We'll get to those later, but Incredibles 2, really good sequel. It had awesome action, awesome like family dynamics. A pretty decent villain, not as good as Syndrome from the first Incredibles, but the animation was really cool and Jack is hilarious. So high A.
Something that always interested me about the first movie for Incredibles is that people actually died in it. Like it showed in the movie that a lot of people actually died from Syndrome. So that's actually kind of pretty cool. Wally's really good. I would give it an S tier because it had a really cool emotion. But the one thing I wish they did was Wally could actually talk. That would be pretty cool.
At the same time, though, it's so cool how they tell like a whole story for the first half of the movie with absolutely no talking. It's just Wally messing around with his trinkets, and you learn how he is the last robot that is left on Earth to clean up the trash crisis, and all the humans are stuck up in space. And he meets Eve, and that is basically a love story between two robots while simultaneously trying to bring the human ship back to Earth. And I think it's a kind of a weird concept, but it's so good. Oh, yeah, and now Monsters, Inc. This is a movie I actually watched a few days ago, so I have a very fresh memory of it. I really like, the best thing about the movie is the relationships between Sully and Mike, and Sully and Boo, the human child who accidentally enters the monster world. The rest of the movie is just like above average and solid. And also it's really cool, the doors scene, and how like the final battle is them like chasing Randall through doors or whatever. So it's a really good movie. I'd probably put it in A tier though, because just S tier, it has to be exclusive. We can't have 10 movies in S tier, even though they're all fantastic.
So Inside Out's really good, but Inside Out is really good. I'd probably put it S tier or high S tier.
Yeah, the best thing about Inside Out, first of all, I don't know, the whole movie is like colorful, obviously, because each emotion is a different color, so the whole movie is just really vibrant and stuff. But then it's also the saddest movie by far, and like, this movie can make you cry easily, like 3 different times, especially when Bing Bong dies or is forgotten. Like, he falls into Riley's, like, long-term memory or whatever, and he's forgotten by her. That's just so sad. So it's a great movie for that.
I forgot about that. Why'd you have to repeat?
I know.
So, Coco. Coco I haven't watched, so I'm going to hand it back to Nolan.
Oh, yeah. So Coco has kind of a cult following. Like, a lot of people love it as their favorite movie. I watched it, and I didn't personally love it that much, but it's really cool how it's centered around, like, the Day of the Dead in Mexico, and, I don't know, it has some great music. It has a pretty big plot twist where Miguel's idol is revealed to be the villain, and it's kind of sad at some parts. Its main message is around family and remembering your family, I suppose. So it's a good movie, but just B tier. It's nothing super special.
Alright, Toy Story 2 was a pretty good sequel. I would give it an A tier. I think it was a little bit better than the original movie.
I think it matched the first movie.
Yeah.
Surpassed it a little.
Yeah.
Also, so the first movie was kind of like an escape movie. It's sort of a heist movie. If like in Toy World though, this one was a rescue movie where Woody goes to, like, he meets the other toys in his vintage, like, collection or whatever, and he doesn't want to leave, and Buzz and company have to rescue him. And then you have all these different little Star Wars, like, Easter eggs where, like, Zurg says, "I am your father" to Buzz, and it's really hilarious. And then the best part of the movie by far is in the end credits where they have, like, all those funny little, like, cut, like, scenes. I don't know. You have to watch them, but it's hilarious. For that reason, high A.
Okay, Toy Story 3 is of course S tier. The emotional impact with Toy Story 3
Yeah.
is absolutely amazing. The voice acting and everything was on point for Toy Story 3.
At one point, you thought.
Technical difficulties.
At one point, you thought they were gonna kill off the entire group of toys. That's how like real it was, and that's how serious it was. But it was a perfect ending to a perfect trilogy. I'm so glad that it wasn't a misfire like Toy Story 4. But we'll get to that later.
Another cool thing about Toy Story 3 is they took 15 years to make it because they wanted the audience to grow with it.
Yeah, they wanted the audience to grow up with Andy so that they were his age and they could understand how he was feeling. And if the first Toy Story was a heist movie and the second one was a rescue movie, this one was an escape movie. And like that whole montage where they put their plan into place and they try to escape Lotso's like daycare, it's just fantastic.
So, Brave, I personally think it's a great movie, but in my opinion, but there is some flaws with it. So I'd give it high C or a low B, but I'll probably go with a high C.
Yeah, I'd agree. Because if I had to place it in the group of the Cars ones and Good Dinosaur versus Bugs Life, Finding Dory, Cars, I'd say it's more towards the bottom level. Like, you thought it was going to be a really cool adventure movie about the girl, like, fighting off bears and stuff, but it's mostly just about her relationship with her mom, which it can be good, like how they did it with, like, Incredibles and stuff and the family relationships, but it's just not that entertaining to watch.
Oh yeah, Onward. Not in my opinion, I do think Brave is way better than Onward. But I didn't like Onward that
You
much.
didn't? Yeah. We kind of have opposite opinions about Brave and Onward. I think Onward is really good and charming, and Brave is boring, and Aneesh sees it the other way.
Onward, I think could have been.
I guess we have
better.
to.
Onward, I think could have been better.
It definitely could have, but so could Brave. So I think we both have to. We have to put them both in C tier.
Yeah,
I guess.
we'll
just
say
to be
they're
fair.
even. We'll say they're even for now.
Yeah, that's good.
And then Toy Story 4.
It kind of ruined it. It shouldn't have existed. So basically, the premise is, Andy's gone. They're all, what's her name? Bonnie's toys now. And they go on a road trip. And Woody realizes he doesn't want to be a toy anymore. He wants to be like his own. He doesn't want to be a toy owned by a kid. He wants to be like a free toy, I guess. And so I'm not going to go through the whole events of the movie, but at the end, after like they rescue Forky and all that, he just leaves with Bo and abandons all the other toys. And the worst thing is Mr. Potato Head has no lines because the actor was dead, so they had to like somehow use technology to recreate his voice. And then Buzz was dumb in the movie. Like, he didn't know what his conscience was, and he was dumb, so that's not good. So it just kind of spoiled the whole thing. I like to pretend it doesn't exist, so let's put it at the bottom and pretend it doesn't exist.
I think, in my opinion, from what I've heard and from other people, I think it was a good sequel on its own, but I don't think it should. I agree, it shouldn't have probably not existed. But if I had to put it, I would say it's better than Cars 2. At least.
As a standalone movie, it's like B or A tier. It's a good movie, but it just shouldn't exist in the Toy Story universe, so it kind of spoils my memory.
Yeah. Alright, so Soul, I haven't watched.
Here, so I'll take this one. Soul, especially coming out in 2020 with all the crazy events that was happening, was a really good movie to have about like celebrating life, because it was kind of a hard movie to tackle. It was trying to tackle the meaning of life, so for it to do what it did, it was really cool. So I think Soul would probably have to go in A tier. Really good.
I didn't watch Luca, so I'm gonna give this back to Nolan.
All right. And then Luca, the final one, I feel like it was kind of like Onward. No risk. It's like low risk, low reward. It was a charming movie about a boy like learning that he can be anything he wants to be during the summer. It's like a coming of age story. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And I guess I'll give it low B. So there you go. I'll let Aneesh do the outro.
Alright, that's our Pixar movie tier list. Thank you for watching this video.
Oh, wait. We should do our personal favorites first.
Oh yeah, we should do our personal favorites. Out of all of these movies, my personal favorite is probably Ratatouille or The Incredibles.
You have to say one.
That's kind of hard. Oh, Ratatouille and The Incredibles is good.
I'll go first. Mine is probably The Incredibles.
Alright, mine's since Nolan already did Incredibles, I'll make mine Ratatouille or Incredibles 2, but I'll go with Ratatouille.
Nice.
Alright, that's our Pixar movie tier list. Thank you for watching this video, and have a very nice day.